Last time we practiced rounding to the nearest 10 using a number line. Now we're going to round to the nearest 100 using a number line. So we're going to go ahead and fill in our number line, and we're going to be counting by hundreds. So count with me. I'm going to start at 0 and go 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, 900, 1,000.
So now, using our number line, counting by hundreds, let's try and find where 261 would be. Between what two hundreds would 261 be between?
So if I'm thinking 261, and I know if I count by hundreds, 0, 100, 200, 261 has to come after 200, so it has to be between 200 and 300.
Okay, so let's zoom in just on this part of the number line. So if I draw a number line just starting with 200, so that's all I'm looking at, and 300, 261. Well, kind of think halfway between 200 and 300.
So I
What would
know
come in between?
I know halfway. So if I'm 200 and 300, halfway has to be 250.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead
50
and
away
label
from
that just so we can
200.
remember it.
50 away from 300. And I know if we're looking at 261, 260 would be one more 10, so it's got to be
Okay, so let's label that 261.
about right there.
Okay, so 261, do you think that's closer to 200 or you think it's closer to 300?
If we're halfway right here and we're past our halfway mark, it has to be closer to 300.
Okay, so let's check that. So from 200 to 261, I count 61 numbers. And from 261 to 300, it's 39 numbers. And so your guess was correct that 261 rounds to 300 because it's more than 250. So let's try another example. Let's try rounding to 323.
323. So if I think about 323, I have 300, so it has to be in between 300 and 400, so right here.
Okay, so let's zoom in on that part of our number line. We've got 300 and 400. And again, think what comes in the middle of 300 and 400?
350 would be right in the middle.
Okay.
50 away from 300, 50 away from 400.
And our number was 323. So is 323 before 350 or after 350?
I know 320 comes before 350.
Okay, so I'm going to put it down here so I have a little more room. 323. So do you think 223 would round to 300 or do you think it would round to 400?
We haven't gotten to halfway yet, so it would be less jumps to jump back to 300.
Okay, and let's check that. So 300 to 323 is 23 numbers, but it's, how many numbers is that? 77 numbers to get to 400. So 323 rounds to 300. Let's try one more example. Let's try and find 650 on our number line.
655. Counting by hundreds, I have 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, and I know I'm past 600, so I'm between 600 and 700.
Okay, so again, zooming in on that part of the number line, starting with 600 to 700, where do you think 650 would go?
The last number lines we did, we know the 50 is right in the middle, so 650 would be right in between 600 and 700.
Okay, well 650 is the number we have to round. So does 650 round to 600 or 700?
I remember last time from rounding to the nearest 10, if we're right in the middle, we always have to round up.
Okay, and so 650 is 50 numbers away from 600, and it's also 50 numbers away from 700. And you're right, using our knowledge of rounding to the nearest 10, if it's right in the middle of both of those hundreds, you're going to round up. So 650 rounds to 700.